you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Hello, Susan. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, June 28th, 2025. We got a great UFO roundup, and more importantly, we're going to be talking today about, wow, what's going on in the UK? Do they have a hearing inbound, we hear? Are they going to be bringing forward witnesses from the RAF? It sure as heck sounds that way. It's going to be our subject for tonight's show. God, I am skipping on this. Let me go ahead and welcome in everybody in the back today. Let's find our participants in the audience. Who the heck we have out there? We have Ann Joanne, Andy W. We got Anonymous Rex all the way coming to us from Oregon. Anton Ghost here along with Bob Lazar, Brains, Corporal Abe, Daryl, Digger Dog, Firefly, and Geraldine Durazio. Would you look at that? We've got JB, Jan, J-Cat, John Myatt Lockett, Kathy, Kelly Broughton, those piercing blue eyes. I see you, Kelly. We got King Bull, Military Aviation Channels here. Let's see who else we have. We've got Reality Check, VIP, Roni Deal, Rodney Cox, Sage Pup, Sam, Super Unknown, The Coin 405 is here. I see you, my friend. We got Tia Marie. Good to see you, Tia. Truth Seeker, Vern Dude, and Yellow Tommy Tanker, also known as Andy. How about that? We are smashed up ready for the UK show. So let's jump into the studio, my friends, and welcome our dear friend, Mr. Mike Disclosure. How the hell are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's going to be an interesting show. We have a lot to cover. We have our good friend Gene Sticko with us today, again, from the amazing book that he authored from his father-in-law doing work over in Russia, Engineering Infinity.
Yeah.
And I also want to wish you a happy anniversary, my friend.
Thank you very much. 13 years with Luke now. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, 13 years in, 13 years to go. Or longer, for that matter. How about that? On that note, let's go ahead. And yes, and also, I'll make an announcement. Tuesday, I have a birthday coming up. No show on Tuesday, but we will have one on Monday to have fun about it. So, yeah, a lot of things happening the end of June and the 1st of July. Got to enjoy, Mike. You only live once, so do it.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Maybe it's about time to get the... Go ahead.
Celebrated your birthday on the show for a while now, and it's about that time again, and everybody would be looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Fun.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about more on Monday's show, but maybe it's time to get that C8 Corvette convertible. You never know. The Camaro's great, but it's a lot of money, I tell you. A lot of money. But well, either do it now or do it never. My grandfather always said, take the time you have and enjoy it, and if you really want it, go ahead and get it, because what the hell are you waiting for? You're only here for so long. On that note, let me go ahead and let's jump into our top story for today. Where is that at? Right, here we go. Not that one. I need to see this over here. Yes, we're talking about the potentiality for UFO hearings coming from the United Kingdom. And I need to find the window I had up. Here we go, to go ahead and talk about this. So for the first time, the United Kingdom is preparing to hold public hearings where military personnel from the RAF, Army, and Navy, let me move this down a little bit, there we go, Army and Navy will be allowed to share their close encounters with UFOs and UAP. These U.S.-style hearings aim to create a safe forum where whistleblowers can disclose experiences they were previously forbidden to disclose under military non-disclosure agreements or due to the fear of ridicule, something we know well about here in the United States, my friends. Let me move on from that. The initiative is being led by the newly formed UK UFO Disclosure Group, which has been spearheaded by filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee. The group has already secured a meeting with a minister from the House of Lords to begin organizing a select committee that will hear testimony from service members and experiencers. Now, a formal letter calling for full transparency has been sent to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and momentum appears to be building. Could this be the first real step towards public UFO transparency in the UK? Andy, I have to ask you, my friend, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, interesting. So it's going to be in front of a select committee, so that that won't be like you're seeing on the footage, the image now of the House of Commons. It'll probably be in front of maybe, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 politicians. And yeah, I don't know how far it'll go.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll go far enough, my friend, to go ahead and actually cause something to happen. Well,
we can't do any worse than what's happening in America, can we, really? So,
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, my friend. The United States has been lagging along, Mike, and I know there's been questions coming up about a potential hearing. Even News Nation is saying, hey, we're going to be having a UFO hearing next week, but apparently that may be from old footage they're recycling because there's not a lot going on in disclosure. But if I bring up a private message that I have gotten from Mike Morris, or better known as the attorney to the EBEs, the extraterrestrial biological entities, taking a look at the calendar for the Oversight Committee for the month of July. There is, actually, this is the end of June, coming into the beginning of July. There is nothing yet on the calendar. And as far as we're aware of, based on prior situations that happened, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, that when this goes on, what do you call it? Sorry, I'm skipping here today. When basically a hearing has to be scheduled 1 week in advance, and as soon as it's scheduled and approved, it will appear on the calendar. That means any hope for a hearing happening the week after the week of the 4th of July, actually the week after the 4th, or no, before the 4th even, is not going to happen. Does that sound about accurate to you, Mike?
Well, here's the thing. They are going on hiatus, Congress, for the 4th of July celebration. So they're not going to be back in session, I think, until the second week of July. And then the end of July is when they go on summer recess. So it's a very narrow window at this point.
So we got a couple there's a couple week window where they could potentially have it.
Maybe, but they would have already had to have the paperwork in place and filed, and I don't think they have. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
That task force is very disorganized, which was one of the reasons why they canceled the May 12th hearing, because they never formally submitted the proper documents and applications.
Right. And
so
it's never been scheduled again since. Supposedly they forgot, who was it? They initially said that Anna Polina Luna forgot to schedule it, apparently. But she wouldn't be scheduling it herself. It would be her staff that's scheduling it, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's correct.
So apparently she forgot to tell her staff to schedule something, and ever since then, nothing's been scheduled. So we're kind of left in limbo. But here's the thing. We've talked about this many times on the show, especially last night. What do we expect to get out of a hearing coming out of our government? Because we've had some phenomenal testimony over a couple of years ago from David Grush, right? Or about a couple of years ago.
2023, 2 years ago.
And where did it get us? Abso-fucking-lutely nowhere.
Correct.
And we don't want to be the negative Nancy's, but we're not trying to hype this up for everyone to go ahead and say, oh, wow, look how great this is. We've got a hearing coming up, but what is a hearing at? What would you want to get accomplished at a hearing, Mike?
I would want actual evidence that's indisputable to be presented to the public at large, that they can establish whatever claims they're making at the hearing. They can back it up with evidence that will support the claims that are being made.
Right.
That's all. That's all I'm asking for. Pretty simple, actually.
It's not much to ask for, is it?
I don't think so. Not with an administration like the one we have currently.
Yeah.
That claimed to be running on truth and transparency.
Right.
And wanted to declassify any information that the government has been keeping secret from the public because they wanted to expose the swamp and the deep state. It would be a great opportunity to follow through on those claims.
Well, follow through is something, I guess they go for the shock and awe and to try and appease some of the people to say, hey, look, we're moving forward on it. But what's missing is an agenda. What are we trying to accomplish? When do we want to get this accomplished by? And that's the biggest thing that's kind of missing, even coming from outside of it, like from the UAP Disclosure Fund, etc.
Any of them, Thomas. Any of the claims that they have been making publicly and looking for support and looking for donations, they lack serious evidence to support the claims that have always been being made. And we call it out because, unlike other shows or platforms, we don't just simply repeat all the stuff that goes out there. We call it out for what it is, and we always want proof to back anything that's being said up.
Yeah. Now, one of the concerns we both have, Mike, is there was a lot of hope instilled in voters during the campaign running up to the last election. I've got a clip here from Fox News Channel. Looks like it's from the Greg Gutfeld show. Let me go ahead and bring this up and let's just watch this. Yeah, it's a good one. It's only 29 seconds long, but I think it should fill us in on what the hell's going on. Why don't we have an answer on this? So let me play this clip. Here we go.
And they were in the Oval Office, people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4.
So, Mike, there you go. There we've got Trump talking about this, talking about what he was briefed on when he was in office last time. And he talked many times about bringing the truth out about this, but it really seems that he isn't.
You know what I like? Towards the end of his campaign, if you remember, he was particularly bashing the Biden administration over the drones. And he publicly said that he feels that this should be made public, any information regarding this, and that the first thing he was going to do when elected and in the White House was reveal the truth to the public on this subject. So we saw how that turned out.
Oh, Mike, you're breaking up a little bit here.
I'm really disappointed. I said I'm very disappointed with how those claims that he had made right before he got elected, how that turned out after his election.
No answers about the drones, no answers about UAP, and it's just one of these situations we look at and are like, what the hell is going on?
Right, because he was obviously making promises during the campaign that all would be revealed. He would work to declassify a lot of the government secrets. He wanted to clear out the deep state. But when he took office, and it's over 6 months already, we haven't gotten one shred of it. Nothing. Which makes you wonder why. What changed?
And it's not like he didn't potentially have access to this information when he was president last time.
Right. Well, he claimed when Biden was in office that a lot of the people around him had prevented him from accessing certain information. and that was a mistake that he made. And second time around, he was going to correct that mistake. Made a lot of promises about that. And after he got elected and was in office, we haven't gotten any of it.
No.
Nothing.
We haven't gotten an answer about the drones. We haven't gotten an answer about UAPs, all the different stuff that he said many times. He had said, this is one of the questions I get asked the absolute most. And he would talk about this particular situation where he got briefed about, what the Navy pilots were telling him.
Well, listen, it seems like, believe it or not, of all the presidents that had been serving in the White House, the only one who came forward publicly about this topic was Barack Obama, who made that public statement on an interview that there are, in fact, objects in our skies that we don't know where they come from or how they operate, because they are operating outside the known laws of physics, and we don't know what it is.
But
that was the first time we
heard it. But Trump talked about specific instances of what pilots were seeing in the air, talking about spheres that were flying around the whole thing. So we did get some more detailed information about it, but the actual disclosure we've been asking for, don't forget we've got Anna Paulina Luna, who's got the task force for the classification of national secrets to bring this stuff forward, and it's been deader than a doornail for the bringing out the truth.
Right, because you have been saying this publicly for years now. And if you're expecting any type of disclosure to come from the government, it's going to have to come from the top. It's going to have to come from the president, declassifying all of this information and making a public announcement to the public, revealing the truth. And it's the only way that we're going to get true disclosure. But it doesn't look like that's what we're getting from this president.
Part of the thing that's missing, it's like what was necessary to bring down the Catholic Church in their pedophilia case that they had against the priests, against little boys, and all the stuff was going on. It took a lot of people to come forward and to go ahead and file lawsuits against the organization to go ahead and try and get it, because sometimes they would just go ahead and take a bunch of the money of donations and shift it out to people. But it's a situation where if we want to go ahead and get the truth, if there are whistleblowers out there, like recently that Jeremy Corbell has alleged, and he's got people ready to come forward for this next hearing. Why are they waiting to come out for a hearing? Bring out their information. Now, remember, David Grush, right? He testified. Yeah. But before he testified, he actually went and had that big expose that was on News Nation with Ross Coulthart. Has Ross fallen out of purview with the actual, if you want to call it, whistleblowers? And is everything now gone on to Jeremy Corbell? And if it is, Jeremy, come on, my friend. Bring out the truth. Don't wait for this to go ahead and say, we'll bring it out at a hearing or not. Bring it out now and force the topic. That's what we need, is we need an avalanche, a wave to come through of whistleblowers, people who have it. Where there's too many people, too many things being brought forward, that would keep them from preventing from actually moving this dialogue forward.
Right. And if you remember, we covered this on the show. We actually broke the story on a couple of these topics about what was going on with Congress. And if you remember, Corbell and Knapp had brought Matthew Brown to Representative Nancy Mace to testify publicly at the November 13th public UAP hearing.
Yeah.
And they were doing this for months before the actual hearing date. But at the last minute, she pulled the rug out from under them and prevented Matthew Brown from publicly testifying. Then as a result of that, Knapp and Corbell eventually brought Matthew Brown out publicly all on their own. If they have additional whistleblowers that are credible, they should do the same and bring them out publicly like they did with Matthew Brown. Don't you think, Thomas?
I would think so, but Matthew Brown did come out with a bunch of salacious claims about things that went on with Immaculate Constellation. Right. After the last hearing, has Congress, more importantly, the task force to declassify national secrets done anything, or the UAP caucus, to try and validate those and bring them forward and interview the guy to try and get there? It doesn't sound like it. And if they did, if they have and they haven't, why haven't they told us?
Well, because they simply haven't. It's a real big shit show that's going on in Congress with the task force. And we recently were covering here on the show as well that the chair of the House Oversight Committee, which is where the task force is operating out of, James Comer, he actually blocked members of the task force and the UAP caucus from accessing information about SAPs and from the DOD on topics involving this. And him and Speaker Mike Johnson were involved in making sure that the task force was unable to get that information. And Susan Goff even went so far as to say from the DOD that they were willing to read certain members of the task force into SAP programs temporarily so that they could see for themselves. But that was blocked from James Comer and Mike Johnson. So what the hell is really going on? What are they really trying to do if their hands are blocked every step of the way? It sounds like a shit show for the public.
It's a shit show that's completely disorganized, my friend. There's no leader in this, just like Lou doesn't want to be the leader in the disclosure movement out in the community. And we get that. He's said that for the longest time. It's not like we have a definitive leader to try and corral all this stuff. The only person who I could possibly see who could be that voice, while we would love Christopher Mellon to be there, I would almost vote for more of Jeremy Corbell along those lines. What do you think?
Well, not just Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, as you are well aware of. You and I have also, as investigative journalists, broken stories about a lot of the shenanigans going on within Congress. We have also been working with Gene Sticco, who's on the show with us tonight, about the Russian reverse engineering program that his father-in-law was involved in. So it's not just members of the press like that. It includes us and the show and what we do, and we'll continue to do to bring the truth out to the public.
Yeah. Now, Gene, you've taken your book, Engineering Infinity, and you've put it out there, was it to Congress or something, to the UAP caucus, and trying to use that as a point to leverage and say, look at all the stuff we've got here. Look how this aligns to things that are going in the United States. This is a decent blueprint to go ahead and actually use this to identify what's going on with the United States government. What say you?
Correct. I tried to give them essentially a roadmap that they don't even have to think about. That it has the links between the programs, it has the agencies that are involved, and then I think there's probably about 20 pages of questions, all categorized by agency, or position that they could ask.
Right.
Yeah, it was a 198-page white paper that you submitted to Congress that shows over 50 programs all around the world that are involved directly or indirectly with reverse engineering this type of technology. Over $15 billion have been spent so far, right, Gene?
Correct. I mean, to frame it sort of neutrally, what it does is we took 42 elements from the science of the book, compared them to the public or declassified programs that are out there. And there was an 85 to 95% correlation. Like I said, we went to Obama approved going after bin Laden on 60% intelligence. So I think we're in the ballpark.
Yeah. Now, some people in the audience, Gene, are talking about this. They'd like to have access to your book. And I believe that access to your book can be achieved at going to engineeringinfinitybook.com. And there's a viewer on there where you can go ahead and see the book that's in print right now, correct?
Correct. So they can go on there right on the front page. It's the flip book viewer. Right underneath that is a chart of the agencies. Underneath that's references. And then somewhere else, you go up top, there's a link. They can actually read the 182 page white paper I sent to.
I've got it right here. So basically, they can go ahead and select the different pages of the book, go ahead and take a look at it, and go ahead and actually view it.
Yeah, I mean that's the the path we took,
Let me bring this up so people can see it.
Lead by example. We want disclosure. Here you go. Here's what we have. Here's how we've put it together. And, however anyone else wants to read or interpret it is just as valid and up to them. That's
and it's
all out there.
It's completely searchable. It's up there. While it's not a PDF, people can go ahead and download. They can go to the site, see what they want, take screenshots of anything, and do what they need to. Because I know we've had some people in the show chat that have actually talked about that, and reinforcing some of the claims that true scientists need to look at what you've actually brought out, because it goes beyond some of our knowledge base. A lot of the stuff aligns to the current knowledge base that's out there, but what you've brought forward actually opens some more doors for our scientists to take a look at.
Yeah, but that's what I hope. I mean, at its core, it's a 40-year-old document, really, if we think about it. So, we're looking at something that in many ways, in many of these programs, may represent an early body of work. And then it's just a matter of making the connections and following the trail.
But
right.
You know what's interesting about it, Gene, in my opinion, is that we know that our government has been covering this up nearly 8 decades already. And even though these documents are 40 years old, it gives us, for the first time, direct insight into this kind of work that the Russian government was doing, the former Soviet Union, 40 years ago on this topic. We still, today, as of 2025, haven't gotten any confirmation from our own government about any of this work. And now, from the book that you put out there publicly, we at least get to see what it looks like from the other side as far as the research and work that they were doing over there. And we already know David Grush testified publicly that the United States is involved in a Cold War of sorts with UAP research between us, Russia, and China for 80 years. So these documents in your book give us insight into some of the work that was being done over there, which I think is completely fascinating. And I think that we might end up getting some more information that gives us insight into the reality of this topic for the public at large.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I hope. And I think once they, things like comparing it to the patents that are out there too, and the alignments that we're able to draw, I think, are worth asking the question if this body of science was being explored under the parameters of a reverse engineered UFO. Where did we get it from? Where did we get the ideas from?
Right. Well, one of those patents that are also in the book is from 1994, and it involves propulsion of a UAP that is in the patents with all the schematics and diagrams that were patented. Now, this was after the Soviet Union had collapsed in 1991. So that tells me that some of the people doing the actual research over there decided after the wall fell to patent some of the work that they were doing. Is that right, Gene?
Right. And I think we talked about it maybe on a previous show. That
we did.
The attributed author of the document was a senior level Russian politician
Right.
who was all things of the patent on it. So, interesting sort of geopolitical
Smoking gun.
mystery.
Yeah. No, it's something that we have before you brought this information out publicly. We had no way of knowing of what was going on from the other side of this type of work. And now, plainly, we can see the connections and what they were doing and where it's still continuing to go. But we haven't gotten anything from our own government about any of this. So we're grateful to the work that you've been doing on this as well, Gene.
Thank you. Well, I put it out there and summarized almost the same kind of thing for the UK and send it to some friends over there. So we'll see if there's any matches that develop.
Yeah. And the thing is, if people want to see the full book, the downloadable version was at $24.99. It's not, the price is not out of the reach of most people out there.
No.
I mean, the PDF, that's why I said it was, the choice. Some people, if someone's a physicist, they can download it and write all over it all they want. That's mainly the point of that.
Absolutely. Wonderful conversation. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate you being here and talking about this legendary document that hopefully will change how we look at some of this stuff with regards to reverse engineering of the science of UFOs. Now, Mike, getting on to other stories in the topic of disclosure, there's been a lot of videos coming out, a lot of people on YouTube going ahead and covering this, and they're saying that David Grush briefed Trump on alien hybrids and what do you call it? The Nordics. But there's been pushback, although there's been a lot of people who've watched these videos and stuff coming out. It just sounds like the same usual miscommunication that goes on, or misinformation within the UFO disclosure community, that someone hears one thing, another thing is put out there. And we actually have Representative Eric Burleson, who basically says while President Trump was indeed briefed on alien hybrids and the Nordics. Let me bring this up here. He didn't say that it was Grush who briefed Trump. That's a key distinction.
It is. So it doesn't necessarily tie back to David Grush, but that sounds to me like rumor and speculation, not fact.
Yeah.
That's being put out there. Yeah, you're right.
Again, welcome to the world of ufology, my friend.
Oh, unfortunately, I know. I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, where there's things that come out, people go ahead and push it out there unless the original person comes out and waves about it. There was a lot of just miscommunication, misconstrued intent, and the whole thing, why a lot of people want to cover this is for clicks and views, because a lot of these streamers are tied into this because this is their full-time job.
Right. So it's a money grab, it's misinformation, and it's something to get clicks from the public.
Oh, gosh, yes.
But it's not accurate.
No. I mean, for me, it's not about the money, Mike, for either of us. I've got a full-time job. You live in a life where it's not necessary to bring stuff forward, and it just we're based on bringing out the truth and the information, because that's why we're here and a part of this community.
Yeah, the public has a right to know. And it's our duty and responsibility to provide that to them, because it's obvious that nobody else will.
Yeah.
They'll cover over everything and just put out all the misinformation, which is something you and I refuse to do.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Interesting picture. I saw this when I had a bookmark at Mike. It shows where Germany was in 1942 with their flying wing, and then in USA in 2025. Similar technologies. I mean, it's not similar technologies, similar things we've got going here, but it just shows you we've moved forward in some ways, but in other ways, we're just copying what was out there in the past.
Right. That's what it looks like. It's interesting.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So we haven't moved that much from the 20th century to the 21st century. We just made some developments that allowed us with material science to actually put craft like that up in the air.
Yeah. Oh, gotta believe it. Mike, remember the time when they would go ahead and put the pictures of missing kids on milk cartons?
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, gosh, we can't forget that one, my friend. Well, I've got an interesting one here. We've got on the Carnation milk box, we've got Lou Elizondo, who is missing. Yeah. Where is he at? What happened with Lou, Mike? I know he had a misstep and some things go on first with the House of Representatives and bringing out the irrigation circles saying that it looks like potentially a giant UFO. And then we had the stuff with the alien baby stuff. But now he's like gone completely dark. He's not even doing any of his book tour or getting out there and having his speaking engagements, which everybody loved. And irrespective of some missteps, I think he's got a great community out there, and I don't think there's a reason, unless his handlers tell him, that he needs to go missing.
Well, certainly it's something that Lou would have to decide for himself.
Yeah.
And he's made the decision, I think, at this point, to take some time off, to reassess maybe, and focus on what's going to be going on down the road. I don't know. It's something we're going to have to just wait and see how it develops.
Yeah, we all love Lou and everyone on the channel. Some people do, some people don't, but we recognize what he's tried to do to bring things forward. But it's kind of like a sports star. You know, you make a mistake. You don't get up and walk off the court and not go back at it again. You get up, you brush yourself off, you look at the situation, and you try harder. That's what we're missing right now, and I feel for the guy.
Yeah. but Lou has also said publicly on many occasions that he doesn't consider himself to be the leader of this movement. He wants other people to pick up the slack and push forward with this and bring out whatever information they can, which we're doing, and other people out there are doing as well. So I understand his philosophy. I still think I agree with you that he should still have a hand in this, because he was the one that brought it out publicly back in 2017 with the 3 videos and the New York Times article. But if he feels that now it's time for other people as well to be involved, the more the merrier. I mean, you know, if we have credible people like Gene and the work that his father-in-law was doing and bringing the information out publicly, and the work that we're doing with him on that and other places as well to get to the truth, I think it's a worthwhile effort, as long as we stay clear of the bullshit and the misinformation. What do you think, Thomas?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so. But if you look back at the calendar of time and go back, the last time Lou disappeared like this is when Danny Sheehan exposed and disclosed, when he shouldn't have, that Lou was indeed working at Space Force in Crystal Springs, Colorado. And when that happened, Lou went into deep hiding. Everything was shut down. Plans that were going on went away. And he was basically, if you want to call it, went down in the gopher hole and not popping his head out because information got out that shouldn't have. And there was impacts because after Danny Sheehan announced that, he was no longer part of Space Force.
No, his employment at that point came to an end. But it was okay because he then took that time that he was off, which I think was 18 months or more, and he put it into getting the book published.
Well, he was already working on the book at that time. It just wasn't just done yet. And he got in there to finish it off, but it was like, come on. I mean, if you're the breadwinner of the family bringing stuff in and all of a sudden you get kicked out, it makes things a lot more difficult for, you know, for people who are in his sphere of influence.
That's true. But I think he bounced back from that. And,
he did.
Right. Hopefully at one point down the road, he'll bounce back again. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things we need to take a look at and just know that he's trying. He's trying to get out there. And you know what? If he takes some time off and needs to reassess, that's fine. But it just comes down to, if you make a mistake, it's okay. People are human. We make mistakes, right? We're not perfect. Even AI makes mistakes.
All the time. Right. It's a regular occurrence with most AI platforms out there. So people know that. They expect it. And as far as human beings making mistakes, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And it certainly should not shut this subject down from being talked about publicly.
No, it didn't. Now, talking about this publicly and everything that's going on, we know there's a conversation about the reptilians that are potentially here on the planet and things that have been going on. Did you hear that? Did you know that the original design of Lord Voldemort in Harry Potter was originally a reptilian?
I heard rumors to that effect.
Oh, it's not a rumor. They've got screenshots of what it looked like. Check this out. We've got the reptilian face, and then if you look down a little bit more here, you've got it where it's Lord Voldemort's face on one side with the reptilian on the other. But they were afraid that it would make children too afraid.
Oh, it would. That's not something you put out for young kids, obviously.
Yeah. But it tied into the story and everything, and it just shows you that the influence of what's been talked about in the UFO community for the longest time about the reptilians being here on the planet was actually part of the storyline that they wanted to push out at Warner Brothers for Harry Potter.
Huh. Yeah, but they had to tone it down for the children, for the young audience, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things you take a look at and just want to go ahead and cover. Now, one of the other things we've talked about earlier, I guess, and we've talked about that one. Let's get to it. All right. Should we replay the clip from yesterday with Richard Dolan?
Oh, yes. That's a good clip.
All right. Since this is a recap of things that have happened earlier within the week, we've got a clip here of Richard Dolan saying that if alien bases exist, it implies that we are not the dominant species on Earth, which Lou Elizondo has said many times, hasn't he, Mike?
Oh, he has. That was the famous somber speech that he had put out publicly.
Somber.
It, made those points. Yeah.
We're not at the top of the food chain.
Right.
We could be in a farm.
Yes.
Where, in that particular case, we're like on the menu.
Mm-hmm. A farm or a zoo.
Yeah.
May I speak?
Oh, actually, Manuel, go ahead. I'm sorry, you've had your hand up. I'm sorry about that, my friend.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention this. I don't know if I had read it correctly or not, but it was from Lou's YouTube channel, I think it was. And there was a post there saying that he was in surgery. This was back in sometime in the beginning of May or so.
Mike, have you heard anything about that? I haven't.
No, I have not. I even spoke with Jennifer not that long ago. There was no mention of any surgery for Lou.
Yeah. So that may be false information coming out, Manuel.
Maybe.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It could be.
Yeah. But great point. It's always great to go ahead and take things people are bringing up and trying to just bring out the more accurate information. If we can go on to the next person with their hand up, we have Alice. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, the Congressional thing they just had on the UAPs. I'm pretty sure I saw Lou testifying, and they were asking him about the things that he put out that weren't real. He was just testifying a few days ago.
No, that's a video that came out a year ago, Alice. Okay, just for the overall community, there has been videos that have been replaying over on YouTube with respect to UFO hearings, and I've got a screenshot of it here. Let me go ahead and bring this up, and it's from a YouTube channel called Times Now. Now, the biggest concern about it is they've been taking, why can't I resize this? Here we go. Let me go ahead and bring this particular thing up, move it around. Let's bring it up. No. Here we go. All right. So this is from YouTube, a screenshot a friend sent me, saying that UFO files secret exposed. Trump in shock, with a live indicator saying live Congress hearing on UFOs. Donald Trump's big, whatever it is. But the truth of and look at this. There's 6.7 thousand people who are watching this because everyone believes this is actually a live hearing. Now, Mike, there have been no hearings, have there?
No, none. The last one was November 13th of 2024, which we covered. Nothing since then. We were supposed to have one on May 12th of this year, but that was canceled. So, no, it's clickbait and misinformation, and the public doesn't seem to be able to tell the difference.
But it shows... Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alice.
I got caught with thinking it was real. That's the one I looked at. That's the one I sent to you that day.
Yeah, Gary, our former producer in the back, sent me this clip, actually, couple days ago about the same thing, and I told him, no, it's not live, this is clickbait. But again, there's a lot of people who are falling for it and thinking that's real, but it shows there's an appetite, Mike, for people who are interested in this and watching it. But the problem is it's not real. So again, it comes down to a lot of stuff in ufology is bullshit. A lot of stuff is recycled from things said before. And when we've got someone called Times Now, they're trying to go ahead and say, hey, this is a live hearing. Clearly, there's a lot of sheep who are being pulled into this, Mike.
There are, and there are quite a few channels that have been popping up a lot lately that are entirely clickbait and nothing but false information. I've even called a few of them out on social media. But it seems that the public cannot always tell the difference between what's true and what isn't. It's why we do what we do here,
right,
and online to advise them.
Michael and Thomas, could you give me some ideas of how to tell what's real and what's not? Is there something that you look for?
No, it's knowledge.
Just knowing that
it's just knowing and knowledge and stuff that comes across, and we know that there isn't a hearing going on. I mean, heck, we were just bringing up the calendar of what's going on from the House of Representatives, and that would show from the Oversight Committee that yes, we've got a hearing coming up, and so from our point is just being entrenched in this, right, Mike?
Yeah, and Alice, for future reference, if you're ever unsure about anything being presented, all you have to do is Google it.
Yeah.
Just simply put in UAP hearings, date and time, and it will tell you if it's going on now or not.
I mean, Kira IM said, I saw that Trump live times now and thought, really? Good. My instincts kicked in. So if you see something, you don't quite believe it, challenge it in your thought pattern. Do research on it.
Yep. It'll take about a whole 30 seconds to find out. But Thomas and I don't need to Google anything because we've been constantly covering everything for years now. We know the dates, the times, the people who are involved. We know everything that's going on behind the scenes. So if we see something that comes up as clickbait, we instantly know it's clickbait and it's bullshit. But not everybody does. So just Google it if you're not sure if it's true or not. It'll give you your answer.
Good thing to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Mike, I have a video that I haven't played yet, and it looks like we've got a recent video that came out earlier this week coming from Skywatch Signal. A Missouri man captures video of a mysterious... Let me just see if I can download this to make it a little bit... I'll just play it from here. A Missouri man captures a video of a mysterious cube-shaped silver UFO. Justin Johnson captured the video of a strange cube-shaped UFO that appeared to be spinning in place in the sky. He's still looking for help identifying it. This sounds like one of those UFOs where he had a sphere, a cube within a sphere, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and play this little clip. So yeah, local news stations are still going ahead and watching some of this stuff and trying to figure out what the heck is going out there. Let me get into this particular tweet, bring it up. Let me get the message, video, let's bring it up and let's watch it. This is something new that we haven't covered yet in Disclosure tonight. Let's get to it, folks. Here we go. Here we do with that. Let me get this here. All right, let's play it.
Maybe Halloween, but this next story is not.
Wait a minute. Never mind. Mike, this is one of those things, again, happy Halloween. Let's just play it anyway. Again, this is from Halloween last year, but this is a story we haven't heard. Again, we've got someone going ahead, Skywatch Signal, talking about a video that's new, but it's actually not. It's from last year, but let's play it.
What about alien invasions and little green men?
As KBC9's Martin Augustine shows us, it is about getting answers for what so many of you are seeing and recording in the sky.
Check this out.
What is that?
It's jumping back and forth.
What is that?
It's a cube. That thing's a cube with lights.
Whatever it is.
That's clearly very cube-shaped in nature. And
Justin Johnson still doesn't know for sure.
There's something going on here.
Since recording it 3 years ago.
It had my adrenaline really going. I was excited. So
Johnson reported what he saw to anybody he could, but none, he says, including nearby air traffic controllers, had any record of something in the sky in this spot on that day. Then, a few weeks ago, he recorded something else, what he described as white light objects in the sky at sunrise. Didn't appear to be airplanes, no contrails. One seemed to stall on the horizon. This time, he had a place to share his video. Johnson uploaded his video to an app called Enigma. It's been around about a year and a half, and its mission is to collect as many of those videos and stories as possible so that researchers can apply science to those reports. That's because much of what people are seeing does have an explanation. Drones, airplanes, satellites. So skepticism is the rule.
There's a lot of great possibilities out there, but we just don't know. We really need to follow that data to figure it out.
Data such as this. From a local air show a few years ago, a cluster of fighter jets right in the middle of the shot when something at high speed zooms past. Look at it again. What could that be? And then this video from a passenger jet over north central Missouri in June. Look at that little white object in the distance. Another plane? Maybe, but Alejandro Rojas says it's hard to explain certain elements of this video.
Everybody has a amazing camera now, so we're capturing a lot more of this.
Justin Johnson says he'll keep looking up in the sky.
It's a cube.
And he hopes more people join him to find some answers about what's out there.
There we go, Mike. You know, it comes down to the point of sometimes we need to go outside and not look down at our phone, but we need to look up. And we do have a good recording device. Well, someone said, yes, we do have high-resolution recording devices in our pocket. The biggest thing that's missing, getting the detail we need, Mike, is a good lens.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Where do I start with that video? Alexander Rojas? Or
I know, and Enigma Labs, they're a shell for RO to capture the information and to shut people up.
Yes, it's a flypaper operation by the government to collect the names and information of individuals that upload these videos and suppress it and provide it to the government. And we covered this on the show about Enigma Labs when this was going on. We covered all of this bullshit that's out there and called it out for what it is. So, yeah, this videos like this that the public will see, they won't know the background information like we do about the people who are involved with stuff like this. It's awful that misinformation like that goes rampant on local media stations. It's just, I wish they did due diligence before they ran a story like that.
Actually, the video of the cube spinning in location is compelling. That looks good. But just they don't know who Enigma Labs is. They don't know Alejandro Rojas's at that time affiliation with the organization and everything. So it just comes down to there can be good sightings and stuff that comes forward, but sometimes we just have to realize some of the stuff they're promoting isn't exactly what they present.
Right. Not credible.
No.
That's why they got to judge for themselves. And we tell the audience this every day. Judge for yourself. Make up your own mind. Don't believe what you're hearing or what you're being told as the gospel or the truth. Make up your own mind.
Not just make up your own mind. Do a little research. Do a little digging on stuff like the stuff going on with the hearing, etc. If you see something that says, oh, wow, they're claiming there's a hearing. It's like, sure, is there a hearing going on right now? No one's talking about it. Just search it, see what's going on out there, and you'll get the answer. Also, go and look at the people at the channel that's showing this stuff. Look at what they've been showing for the last several days, and it'll give you an idea of, wait a minute, they've had this hearing going for the last 3 or 4 days. And when have you ever seen a hearing go on for 3 or 4 days, Mike? You're lucky if you get a couple hours at most.
At most, usually. Right. So that right there is a dead giveaway, in my opinion.
Oh, gosh, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. But listen, that's why we're here. We try to put the public on the right path and have them avoid the potholes and the bullshit. All that misinformation out there.
Well, I've got some interesting things. It's not exactly bullshit. It doesn't deal with UFOs, but it does deal with space. We know we've got the Artemis mission out there where we want to go ahead and go to the moon again, right? And they're recycling the technology from Northrop Grumman for the boosters on the side, like they had for the space shuttle.
Right.
Well, guess what? We had a kabam, kaboom go on.
Yeah, which seems to be the case more times than not with this technology.
Yeah, let me go ahead and bring up a little part of this clip here. Let's get to video guest. Oh, let's play this one. Here we go. So this is a 35-second clip. You can see this is the end of the booster where the rocket engines are, and it's not going to go exactly to planned. Let's go ahead and play this clip and see where it takes us. So there you go. You can see it going. You can see it just exploding through the sides and just going through. Now, Mike, one of the reasons that they're having this problem is the propellant that they're using for these old rockets back in the day isn't the advanced technology like they're using over at SpaceX.
That's true. But even SpaceX has been having issues with their platform.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So it's far from perfect.
Oh, it's far from perfect, but SpaceX takes a point of rapid iteration, knowing if they're going to blowing it up, looking for the instances, and actually SpaceX actually likes it when things blow up, Mike, because that gives them a situation to change their engineering and to improve it to make sure that situation never happens again. It almost sounds like that, if you want to call it, Elon Musk and SpaceX have followed a pattern of test-driven development, where you go ahead, you see something that goes on, you change your engineering, you put it in place so that stuff is never going to happen.
Unlike the Boeing Starliner, that they trapped those unfortunate astronauts up there for almost a year.
Multi-billion-dollar loss for Boeing on that one. But hey, they did get the F-47 though, so they do have something working in Boeing that's been going on, and more importantly, we haven't seen a big blowback on Boeing from the 787 that recently crashed. Have you noticed how quiet it's been? We haven't heard anything of the analysis coming out of it because it wasn't in the United States. It seems like it's a cover-up, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. They're shutting that down. They don't want negative press. It'll affect their stockholders and their bottom dollar for the stocks. So no, they don't want it out there. Of course not.
Yeah.
No, Boeing is a company that has a completely different approach than that of Elon Musk's SpaceX. I happen to agree with what Elon is doing as far as testing it out and making corrections before they put human lives in jeopardy. That's the right approach. Boeing doesn't seem to do that.
Yeah.
Not with their aircraft or their spacecraft.
Yeah. Completely, my friend. Now, getting back to talking about UFOs and everything, we've been talking a lot today about the task force for the declassification of national secrets. Now, that task force was not just put together on its own. It was actually a presidential, Trump signed an executive order for transparency. It was not, we've gotten the JFK, RFK. We haven't gotten anything on MLK. We haven't gotten anything on 9/11. Those are some big things where there's a lot of controversy of what actually happened, but it just seems like we're stuck in the mud.
Here's the problem. He signed an executive order like you just stated, right? And he organized this task force. Great. Did he authorize them with subpoena power? No.
No.
Did he authorize a budget? Did he give them staff? Did he authorize them to get to the truth, which is what this organization was designed to do as an instrument?
Yeah.
No, he didn't do any of that. So it sounds more to me like, in theory, that he wanted for this to be put together and formed for the truth. But in reality, it seems like it's anything but the truth.
It's the language of what was used that didn't give this task force the power they needed. I mean, his quote was, this is a big one. A lot of people have been waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be brought forward, but we didn't get that everything coming forward
to do that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Let me go ahead and play the audio clip of him talking about this. And it's just something that's, okay, we've got someone saying, I'm going to go ahead and sign an executive order to bring out the truth, but it still seems like they're fighting against the deep state. So but if you got the president, he's not a person who's shy to go ahead and tweet how he feels, or to actually to do a post on Truth Social that comes on to X and everywhere else. He's not afraid of that. So what gives? Let's play this clip. Here we go.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one.
There's actually more than that included, so here we go.
A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Everything will be revealed, quote unquote. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quote unquote. I'm going to say bullshit.
Well, what happened? Wasn't it for the RFK or Kennedy stuff? They found an additional room that was hidden away, locked behind closed doors within the intelligence community of all these additional files to deal with the Kennedy assassination. Mike, what happened to those? We haven't seen them, have we?
No, we have not.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about the Jeffrey Epstein files either.
Nope.
Nope.
I'd really like to learn more about, honestly, the 757 that crashed into the side of the Pentagon. because from an aeronautics standpoint, the ability for that plane to come down, for someone who wasn't a pilot, to go ahead and be directly and fly right, above, feet above the ground, to smash into the side of the building, right? It's impossible. I'd love to see what actually happened on that one more than anything, because I've always said, you look at this and you say, if you look at the shape of the hole in the side of the Pentagon, it's a center circle about as big as the fuselage is, maybe a little bit bigger. The fuselage is not the biggest part, the biggest problem here. You have two giant GE engines on either side of that slammed into it. Where are the engines? Because anytime, even if you see any kind of an airliner that smashes into the side of a mountain, you know what's always left, Mike? Those big tangled pieces of metal that were the engines. They remain intact because they're thousands of pounds, and we have nothing on that. I like to know about, honestly, what happened with, was it Building 7 from the World Trade Center complex? Why the hell did that one come down, besides all the money disappearing the day before or that night?
Well, look, he doesn't need a task force to bring the truth out on any of these subjects, including the gain-of-function research that was done, which led to the pandemic. He could sign an executive order and release and declassify all this information and let us go through it, which we would.
Right. So rather than going ahead and saying he orders historic transparency on this and the files to be declassified, clearly not everything is being declassified. It just shows you, the deep state is more powerful than any of us ever want to believe. But it's there, and it's, try and stop it, my friend. If we could, Alice W., you have your hand up. Go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, there was no debris outside of the Pentagon also from the plane crash, supposed plane crash. In the wingspan, there was no place where the wings could have gone into the building.
Well, not just the wings. Forget about the wings. You've got... Okay, have you flown on a 757 before?
Yeah.
The engines are like, when it goes to start up and you want to take off and everything is like, wow, wow, wow. They're huge engines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bigger than what you have on a 737 and other planes, because it's a wider body. You don't have 4 engines. You've got 2, and they're 2 really big, heavy engines. And where are they, Alice? There's no impact of them hitting the ground of the buildings. You've got one center hole instead of the other hole, with the 2 spaces showing where those engines hit the building.
And the one I love is one of the pilots, his passport was found on the ground in front of the World Trade Center. Did you hear about that one?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, right. It hit the passport from one of the guys that they said.
Oh yeah, one of the people who came on. Right? Yes.
Yeah, out of all that stuff, they found his passport in readable condition.
Yeah. But, there was actually another plane. There was another situation that happened where it looked like there were potentially more people on another plane that got delayed taking off from JFK back at the time. I watched a documentary on this about a month or so ago, and it was really interesting to hear and it looked like they actually had people who were in the bottom part of the plane, and there were supposed to have been more box cutters delivered for them to pick it up, but it was actually on the next gate down. So... miscommunication on some of the parts of it, but it just shows that there's a lot more truth and information that our government has that they should be disclosing to us. So it's not just about UFOs, it's about a lot of stuff that's out there.
Do you think the planes were remotely controlled? Or do you
hell no. No.
So you think these guys that were hardly could fly a plane were flying?
They don't have to take it off. They don't have to land it. And a lot of these guys actually did go for pilot's training before this.
Yeah, and one couldn't pass. I remember.
Well, that's fine. It doesn't matter if you're going to pass. You know why? You don't care if you're going to crash the plane because you want to.
But you're right. Making that sharp turn and coming in and down, no way.
And then not just coming down, and then leveling off and flying perfectly parallel to the ground for a piece of time before you smash into the building. It's just...
I think it was only 3 days before that Rumsfeld came on and said that a couple $1 trillion was missing from the budget, and the place that the plane hit is where all that information should have been stored. And
you're talking about Building 7 of the World
Trade
Trade Center complex, yes.
Yeah, and the guy that owned the buildings got a second insurance on them before that happened.
Yeah.
So he got paid out double. Yeah, that was. As soon as I saw Bush just sitting there, I thought.
Oh, the video of Bush when he's sitting there and they come and whisper into his ears about what's going on, and he just looks completely dumbfounded.
He keeps reading.
Yeah, reading a children. He was at an elementary school reading a storybook to kids.
I know. Did you see him mess up a couple of years ago where he was talking about that? And he said, no, there were no weapons of mass destruction. And then he kind of chuckled like he shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, we've all seen a lot of these things. Oh, God.
Yeah, all presidents are.
Oh, gosh. I just have to bring it up because you got to laugh. Did you know there's actually the kid's guide to President Trump? I'm sure a lot of people out there have heard about this. So, yeah, they're trying to hit all audiences.
Somebody wrote a little story about it, right?
Oh, this has got, a lot of people who are involved in this trying to bring this thing out. Oh, God, here we go. I got to bring up the picture. Just because you got to laugh at it. Here we go. The free kids guide to President Trump. Talk about his accomplishments in office, his vision for America, and how Trump's policies are right for America.
Oh, my God.
It's a coloring book in some areas, maybe, but yeah. Some of the stuff you just look at it, but it's just like, yeah, Kelly God, who was the former, if you want to call it, press secretary? She could look at two people across on different sides of the room at the same time, and she went and became the governor of Arkansas. Sarah.
I don't remember.
God. Sarah Huckabee. Sarah Huckabee, yes.
I know that name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Michael Huckabee is the one who's hawking that book, her dad.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't get into politics until COVID came around. So I don't know a lot before that.
All right. I got a cool video to show here. Check this out, my friends. Let's bring it up. Alice, check this out. Actually, let's get to the start of it. Again, this goes down to UFOs, right? We see something in the air, right? And from our perspective, we say it's a square, right? But if you take a look at the object as you get close to it and from the sides, that ain't no square, is it? It's a completely different shape. And here, from this angle, look at this. What does it look like? It's a circle. And it transitions from a square to a circle. And we would think the object is actually morphing in shape, right? It's changing. It's going from a square and it's turning into an orb, right?
Yeah.
But it may be the overall shape of a trans-dimensional craft that, based on the angle we're seeing something and how it's, in a gravitational wake field, it may have one particular perspective of how we see it. And then, but you look at it from a different way, it's something else.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thanks.
Yeah.
You showed me a sculpture like that before.
Yeah, there was another one. There's a lot of things that have been put together, and that's the biggest thing is we have to realize no matter how good our cameras and what we're seeing, sometimes it may be a circle, it may be a cube, but at the same time, it's actually the same object, and nothing's changed with it.
Yep. Pretty cool.
Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think that I sent you a couple of DMs just now on X that you should take a look at. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, it's something that, we're going to have to see as things develop what eventually is going to come of that.
Oh, son of a bitch. You had to have me go to X and bring something up, right?
I did.
This
yes,
just
sir.
reinforces as I get to your messages you sent me. My God, there we go. That says it all for the reality of the boogosphere. If this schmuck is standing up next to it and standing behind it. Just saying. Remember, all these designs that are on this, that are on the top and the whole thing, it looks like a circuit board, they weren't there when it was originally found. They were added afterwards because there's a video out there where it shows this sphere, right? And it shows it in a state where that data, that isn't there. And that's why when people go ahead and look at all this stuff on it, Mike, you know what they actually find? They actually, and you zoom in on it, it looks like it was something that was crudely created by a human. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, if you look, there's a heat exchange on that picture where you could see that there's different colorization on where that new image is.
Yeah, where you've got
so
all
there
the
was
different dots that have appeared now at the end. They're like a bronze color, a copper color versus the actual color of the object.
Yeah, and if you look at the side view that you're pointing at right now,
yeah,
that you were, you could see the difference in color change where it looks shinier. It looks like there might have been a heat exchange when they made it.
Right. Let's get to this if I can. Now, Mike, if you want to, you've got something here you sent me, and I need to hit the freaking library for a second. Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's fine. Yeah. Oh, yes. We have the one from Germany, which I thought was interesting. Today is your anniversary, so that might be something to talk about. And the other one has to do with SpaceX that we were just talking about and Brandon Fugel.
All right, why don't you cover the one that you actually sent me last about the things going on in Portland coming from a great on-the-scene reporter from Seattle, Washington, and she's down in Portland to go ahead and record this. Katie Davis-Court, someone who we hope to have coming on the channel in the future, right, Mike? Do you want to, as I have to step out, unfortunately, to relieve myself, I need you to go, do you want to walk the audience through this one?
Yeah. Okay. The Department of Justice is not messing around. 3 more Portland Antifa militants have been federally charged for assaulting federal officers, including the subject who launched a knife attack attempting to impale a DHS officer in the head after hurling the deadly weapon. So right now it seems like Antifa protesters outside Portland, Oregon's ICE office have been assaulting federal officers with deadly weapons. This is a developing story that's been going on daily. This is something that is continuing every day to be going on in that part of the country with these protesters that has been escalating with violence. They've had to deploy, and we covered this on the show last night, they had to deploy a new form of tear gas to try to deal with that crowd of protesters. It was like something out of a movie, the Green Fog.
Yeah, let me bring that up as we're talking about it, Mike. Let me get back to QuickTime here. See if I can find that one. Ordered open QuickTime, file open. Recent. Yeah, it's a situation that's going on close to home here. All right. I've got the clip coming from Katie Davis-Court as well. Let me go ahead and bring this one up. This one we played last night, Mike, was pretty cool. As you can see, we've got a bunch of Antifa members here on the left all around here, and there's a green canister that was just thrown out with this kind of a green haze, a green fog that like something that you would see in a Batman movie. Let's go ahead and play this. It's a very compelling clip. So as you can see, it's coming out. Let me see if there's audio on this. Oh, hell yeah. In case there's copyrighted music in the background. I mean, it looks like a Batman movie with the freaking balloons and people all dressed in black. And then you've got soldiers peering just out of the green fog. It's pretty compelling, my friend. Jeannie, have your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mike his opinion on, Antifa as a quote-unquote organization.
Oh, gosh, yes.
My understanding is it's not really an organization. It's all these smaller anarchist groups that come together. And from a political standpoint, the idea that one party or another engages with them to cause this to happen is sort of counterintuitive, because the Antifa, the anarchists, aren't interested in any government whatsoever.
Well, they don't care who gets elected for president. If Trump got elected, down with the government. If Kamala would have gotten elected, down with the government. So although they're at the DHS facility, Department of Homeland Security in Portland and everything, this has been a point of contention for these anarchists to come forward. Now, they're against the United States of America. They're attacking a federal facility. If there ever was different insurrection things going on against a federal government, this is one of the things that's out there that, again, there's battles going on a daily basis.
So there's really no political affiliation.
No, there isn't. No, besides it's down with America.
Yeah, but you have to understand something as well, Gene. What's going on over there right now is that they are coordinated, and they do have
beyond coordinated.
And they're trying to, well, they're bringing fresh food to these protest sites because they're trying to recruit homeless people to participate that don't have an agenda of their own. So this is some sort of propaganda that is a coordinated effort, and is also being funded, by the way. We don't know exactly who is behind it. They haven't come forward and publicly identified themselves. But this is a coordinated effort that's been going on the whole time.
Not just is a coordinated effort, Mike, it's evidence of conspiracy to riot, which is a felony crime. Do you see what's written in the upper left corner of the riot shield in the center? Bash shield to intimidate. Right there, and what Katie Davis Court, who's the video you were just playing is from, and she had gotten, she had said, I appear to have captured Antifa's riot formations when they square off against federal officers. These are on the back of their shields. So bash, shield, intimidate. That's the kind of stuff. This isn't just random things that are going on. This is planned. This is something that's been orchestrated, and it shows there's more things going on here than just a ragtag group of individuals just kind of coming forward and going after our government, irrespective of who's in control. Yeah.
They're not doing this for free. It's anticipated.
Yeah.
They have first aid kits on site, food. Yeah, this is something that they want to continue and be sustained.
Yeah. And it's something that we're going to keep an eye on as it's going, and as new news comes out, we're going to continue to cover it, because it looks like this is just something that's one of those breaking stories that you're just not getting coverage on in the media at all.
Mainstream media is not covering this.
That's where it's coming in to go ahead and have. Oh gosh, what is it again? It's a matter of them coming in and just trying to cover the stories that isn't being covered anywhere else, and we're going to continue to cover that. Now, got to bring up the boogosphere, Mike. I know it's not the thread I was going to plan on bringing up, but something, it's there. Benjamin Prime over on X is pretty animated in his discussions about what's going on here. The jackass doing analysis on the boogosphere is a longtime Musan accomplice. He's been working for Musan since at least the early 2000s. He hosts a pseudoscience show, in which he explores such fascinating questions is there a microchip in Napoleon's skull? This is the kind of stuff we want to stay across from. So this is him going ahead and testing a boogosphere with a micrometer, where you can go ahead and test continuity and voltage strength coming out of something. And when he was actually going and testing this, he was saying, look, there's RF signals that are coming out of the sphere. Look at the numbers. You can see it. So it just goes to show you that the people who are involved with this are longtime Musan accomplishments. And it's just a situation. Even when he was initially brought into the clip to talk about it, he was like, oh, nice to meet you. Like he had never met Jaime Musan, although they've been working together for the longest time.
Oh, exactly. It's a red flag, in my opinion. something like that, it just doesn't it doesn't lend to credibility whatsoever.
Oh gosh,
It's
yeah,
bad.
absolutely. Now,
Well,
one,
the picture with DC Muscle Wolf is a dead giveaway, I think.
yeah, I would say so. Now, I think this is a Zoom call meeting that was recorded. We've got, coming from the UAP Reporting Center, Lockheed Martin executive Carl Nell stands firm on his belief that non-human intelligence is real and that it has been engaging with humanity for a very long time. Now, we know Carl Nell is the person who's behind the UAP DA, the Disclosure Act. It's not widely known out there that he is the author of this. That's why he's so much behind pushing it. And the thing I don't like about this, Mike, I have to go ahead and bring up at this point, is that Carl Nell is the one who wants us to have staged disclosure, right?
He wants to initiate controlled
disclosure, yes.
Yes, which is not accurate, and more red flags come with statements like that.
Yeah. So rather than just bringing out the truth, it's getting it to come out with drips, taking it to an existing president saying, hey, do you want to release this stuff? And if not, it gets locked up for another 20 years?
Yeah, it's something that's been buried for 80 years, and you want to talk about controlling it further? Yeah, it's going to stay that way.
Which means they'll never bring out the truth. It's going to be hidden forever, at least in our lifetimes, which doesn't make sense.
No, and then again, if you or I have anything to say about it, it's not going to remain hidden forever.
Oh, heck no. If we get the information, we can possibly go ahead and bring out disclosure, we will do it, honestly. We're not about locking stuff up, and yeah, some people might trip along the way, but you know what? Sometimes to move forward, there's a cost.
There is, and that's okay. It's a price we're willing to pay. If we have access to true information that's credible about disclosure, we're not really overly concerned with the national security aspects of that, or continuing the cover-up, so it will come out.
Yeah, it needs to. There may be a cost. Some people may get hurt along the way, potentially, whether they go to jail or other things. But you know what? They'll easily be let out once the full truth comes out. And we just have to have people who are not so up, their head is up the ass of, oh, this is a risk to national security, which even goes into some reporters these days. And why in the hell would a reporter be worrying about if bringing out the truth is a risk to national security? Doesn't sound like a reporter to me. Sounds like someone who's facilitating a cover-up.
Right. No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Journalism, the fourth estate in this country, is the ability to provide the truth to the public, which is what they stand for and is protected under the Constitution. So, yeah, there's no way we would allow the cover-up to continue at all.
Yeah.
That information would come out.
It doesn't make sense, my friend. Let's go ahead and let me get into this here. Make sure I'm running this back the way it needs to. Okay, let's move on. No questions from the back. Here we go. Let's listen to part of this conversation coming from the Zoom. I think it was coming from actually the Soul Foundation. Here we go.
Lou said and Ross alluded, progress on this topic would not be possible without the support and grassroots efforts of the folks that are participating in this chat and the folks that are in your guys' orbit. And so what actually is this topic, right? And Ross and Lou also have alluded to this. Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity on this planet. This interaction is ongoing and it's not new. And there is zero doubt. But you already knew that. So how do we go about convincing other people that this is the case, particularly people that aren't necessarily privy to all the information that some of us may otherwise be? And so,
all right, Mike, if they're privy to the information, why aren't they bringing it forward?
That's a damn good question, Thomas. I would love to hear the answer to that. But
because
they're not going to give it to us.
I know, but that's what he's talking about. This information's out there, but it's not being brought forward. So if they have it, my God, bring forward the information. Andy, what say you?
Yeah, so if this information's up there, they're throwing us all under the bus, basically.
Yeah. Good way to put it. They are they're throwing humanity under the bus, by not bringing information forward.
This isn't just an American issue. This is a worldwide issue, but we treat it as though it's solely American.
Yeah.
You know, we see by our show here how many international people we have. Myself, all the others who are coming from all around the world to get this information. You know, it's.
If you look at it this way, Andy, really quick, a swarm of locusts could be considered a risk to national security. And to say, I'm sorry, I can't talk about these locusts, I can't bring the truth out or whatever it is because it's a risk to national security, that our enemies may get the idea to send locusts to the United States or different areas to go ahead and take this and make it happen. But that's the logic we're dealing with from these ex-military folks, is they're so concerned about the risk to national security that we might go ahead and encourage or give someone an inspiration based on what we've got going here. The truth of the matter is they're already exploring it. China's been looking into this. Russia's been looking into this for the longest time, and say, we might get a inspiration of them. But I think what we have to worry about is who's going to bring out the information first? How is it going to be brought out? How are we going to bring society up to it, and not just worry about the markets and the money that makes things happen?
Yeah, for me, what always strikes me is, it's national security. Well, if you have these devices in your possession and you're designing or you're creating weapons, how come you've never actually used any of these weapons? What are you actually holding this technology back for? Is it the fact that you're going to save it for if and when we eventually get Independence Day happen? Are you going to have something in your back pocket where you'll be able to use these devices? Are you waiting for the rise of China, the rise of Russia? This has been going on for 80 plus years. Russia's risen and is by the stupidity of its present furor, I'll use the word. People may get triggered over that. Russia's not the power it once was. Who are you that frightened of? Is it China? Well, there are ways to beat China. You stop buying stuff from China. China massively relies on the West for buying all of their crap goods. And I'll put my hands up and I'll admit I buy from certain Chinese sites that sell crap at knockdown prices.
I mean, Temu, a lot of people have bought it.
Yeah. So why are you actually holding all of these devices, all of this technology? What actually good is it if it's just sat there doing nothing? It's sat there doing nothing. What are you going to use it for? I can't quantify it. I can't work out why you would hold this stuff back. If you're not going to release it, these other nations will catch you up and they will overtake you. We all know it's so compartmentalized in the US that one person in the next room can't talk to you can't correspond with that person next door to work out a simple thing that you might not be able to understand, but the guys working on another part might be able to actually deal with. I'm sorry, it's crazy. I think it's absolutely insanity.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Let's go ahead a little bit more to play more of this video. Here we go.
So there's three principal lines of effort, three principal sources of data. There's essentially the first principles argument, which basically says, counter to common belief, that life is common in the universe. How do we know life should be common in the universe? There's 20 billion sun-like stars in the universe. The sun is a population 1 star. There are planets like this, there's stars like the sun that are 5 billion years older than the sun. That's plenty of time for other civilizations to evolve on these other planets. There is recent scholarship that says that life evolved on Earth in the Hadean era. The Hadean era was before the crust even cooled. There's recent scholarship that says that microbes have been found in terrestrial rock.
You know what it sounds like we're dealing with here, Andy, is we've got someone who's trying to debate the whole thing that NASA has been looking for forever, to go ahead and try and prove that there's life beyond our planet, rather than thinking life is something that's very pervasive throughout the entire universe. And that we're not just unique, but for some reason, for religious reasons or whatever, let's look at scientists. We have scientists. We have something called scientism, for that matter, where we have these predefined concepts, even though they're whacked out and not, any remotely true, people still adhere to it. And we have to fight against it to say that, we need to look at microbes, what's coming in. I mean, heck, we have, meteorites that came in from Mars when part of the planet was blown off, when there was a giant celestial impact that happened with the planet. And there's actually microbes and small little fossils that are viewable within these particular meteorites. But, we're not willing to accept the truth that there's life beyond our planet. Would you think maybe this is more of a religious construct than anything that's preventing us from believing these things?
I personally, I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in the afterlife. I always say, when it's my time to come to depart this mortal coil, I'll understand. But
I need to work with you to experience consciousness at its best, my friend.
Yeah, the thing I get with them saying, these individuals saying that, there's no chance of life anywhere else in the universe or whatever. You've only got to take a look at our own planet. You go to the deepest depths of the ocean. There's life in places that we can't reach. There's only a handful of people who've ever gone to the deepest depths of our oceans. Life's teeming down there. You get these thermal vents. Each thermal vent has its own ecosystem, and those creatures in that thermal vent are completely different to one that may only be a mile away. You come onto to the land, and then we know how much life is on the land here. You go to the skies, we've got birds, we've got copious amounts of birds all around the world. I find it very, very hard to believe that there's no chance of any form of life anywhere else in the universe.
Yeah.
Or whatever, further out than that. I just find it so, I really do think it is a religious bias.
Well, a lot of people, when they hear this thing and they want to go ahead, they may think it's cuckoo, but the reality is what they're saying is truly cuckoo with the respect of there not being life. I guess it comes down to humanity and its current incarnation. Remember, we have global cycles that happen every 6,000 years, give or take, that wipe out our planet on a regular basis. And you look back at this stuff and you wonder, no wonder why we don't get so far ahead. No wonder why we forget about all these things going on. And we keep on re-asking the same questions, but a lot of times it seems like we're artificially limited. Now, Andy, some people have said in the past that potentially the non-human intelligence is the force that's limiting our ability or our knowledge to understand what's going on. Do you think that could be the case?
I don't. I think it's our own personal biases and the bias of certain individuals. It seems to be a very, very small cadre of people that have this subject locked down. No matter what we do, and no matter how many YouTube, shows or people on who are dealing with this subject, we just don't seem to be able to break through. I find it quite amazing. We've got our dear friend who Mike absolutely loves, and I'm sorry, Mike, our dear friend Susan. I hope she sleeps well at night. She probably does for the amount of money she's probably getting paid. It comes down to conscience, I guess, at the end of the day. How do you sleep at night?
Well, talking about conscious and how we sleep at night, I actually, my friends, need to realize it is my anniversary, and I did prompt Luke about going out to an early dinner or happy hour or something somewhere, whether it's a buffet or Korean beef or the local Azul Mexican restaurant, which has some phenomenal food. I've expired my time, my friend, and it's been great hanging out with you, Andy. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone in the back, everyone in the audience. More importantly, I also want to thank our friends in the chat, and then we also had a super chat that came in recently. Who from? Let's bring it up. From ED, our only super chat of the night. Thank you very much, ED. You two are effing awesome. Glad to hear you both are willing to stand in business. Yes, for disclosure, we will get there. Mike, my friend, thank you for coming out tonight.
Well, it was my pleasure, Thomas. Would not have missed this for the world, considering today's your anniversary. And we had a hell of a discussion on a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of good people coming out to watch the show. Thank you for all coming out here to Disclosure tonight. We'll be back Monday on June 30th to go ahead and talk about more Disclosure. We hope to see you then. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight,
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody, especially our friends in Hungary who are going and protesting right now. It is saying, you know what, screw you. We're not going to have a pride parade. You're saying we're not going to have a pride parade, but we're going to do it anyway. Take care, everybody. Love you. Bye-bye.